Just like income tax, national insurance is something that everybody in the UK earning money has to pay. In this video, I'm going to be covering everything that you need to know about national insurance. I'll go over what it means and why we pay it, who has to pay it and how much, and also the changes that are coming in 2024. Let's get into it. Okay, so what is national insurance? Well, first off, let's look at the name, and it couldn't be any more misleading, to be honest. Yes, it is called national insurance, but realistically, it's nothing like any of the products that you pay for, like your house or car insurance. Instead, it's actually very similar to income tax in the fact that anybody earning over a certain threshold will be liable to pay it. The only main difference is that paying national insurance will qualify you for some benefits which might help you in the future, which I guess leads us straight into why does it exist? Well, the reason that we have both national insurance and income tax separately instead of just one big tax bill is because they are actually responsible for paying for different things. When it comes to income tax, this is focused on paying for shared services, whereas national insurance is based on the individual. For example, income tax would pay for things such as schools, emergency services, roads and healthcare, whereas national insurance will pay for things that will only benefit you, with the main aspect being something what is called a state pension. What this is basically a set weekly payment that everyone will get from the government when they reach the legal pension age, which is currently 66 years old. National insurance is also there to help people earn an income when their situation might not be most ideal. It will also cover things such as bereavement and maternity leave alongside the job seekers allowance. Now, one thing to not get national insurance and its benefits confused with is workplace specific payments such as a private pension and also their own bereavement and maternity leave policies. The details of these will all vary from company to company, so just look at it this way: if you pay national insurance, this will entitle you to the basic standardised rate that everyone else paying it will receive across the country. So, now that we have a rough idea of what it pays for, let's now look at who has to pay for it and how much they actually have to pay. Well, first off, you would actually need to be over the age of 16 to pay this, and you would have needed to have received your national insurance number. Now, if you meet this criteria, the next thing you need to be is either an employee of a company earning more than £242 a week from one job, or you are self-employed and making a profit of more than £12,570 a year. And I mean, when you break it down this way, it sounds pretty simple, right? Well, unfortunately, it does get a little bit more confusing when it comes to working out how much you've actually got to pay. This is basically because the government have created a class system to work this out, and it very much depends on your personal circumstances as to which class or classes you have to pay for. To explain this, I'll need to go through employed and self-employed people separately, and let's start off with the more common of the two, which is those that are employed. So if this is you, you will have to pay what is called Class 1 national insurance contributions, and this will all be taken care for you by your employer, and you'll be able to see how much of your salary was deducted towards this on your payslip. At the time of recording this video, for any income that you receive between £242 to £967 a week, you will have to pay a 12% tax on, and anything over £967 a week, you'll have to pay an additional 2% on. However, as of January 2024, the rate will actually be cut from 12% to 10% a year. This means that the average worker earning a £35,000 salary will save around £450 a year in tax. This change was recently announced during the latest autumn statement by Jeremy Hunt, and I think we all need to look at this as a welcome change purely from a national insurance standpoint. But of course, I think it's also right that we should acknowledge that there are still many flaws and issues within our UK tax system. Now, if you're self-employed, things are going to be slightly different for you. Once again, at the time of recording this video, you will have to pay Class 2 contributions and Class 4 contributions depending on your profits, and you will usually do this through what is called a self-assessment at the end of every single financial year. As of right now, Class 2 contributions stand at £3.45 a week, and Class 4 is 9% on profits between £12,570 and £50,270 a year. If you make any more than this figure, you will have to pay an additional 2% on any profits over this amount. Now, once again, 2024 will see some changes to this also, with Class 4 contributions being reduced from 9% to 8%, and they are getting completely rid of the Class 2 contribution. On the back of this, the government are now saying that this will save the average self-employed worker around £340 in tax every year. In terms of when these changes will take place, this will happen later on in the new year, with the 6th of April 2024 being the start date. This is probably to fall in line with the current self-assessment financial year deadline, as they probably don't want to mess up anyone's current tax returns. Now, one class that you might have noticed I missed was Class 3 contributions, and basically what this is classed as is a voluntary contribution that you might have to pay to fill gaps in your national insurance record to ensure you you still qualify for the state pension. For example, I actually have a friend that works abroad and is paid in a different currency, and he has to do this so that he can qualify for his benefits later on. There's actually a free tool on the government website, which I'll link below, that you can use to check your national insurance record to see if there are any gaps and how much it will cost to make up. Another thing worth mentioning is that the different classes within this system that we've been talking about are actually responsible for covering different types of benefits. What I've done right here is thrown up a chart on screen which is a breakdown of what all the different classes actually pay for, and obviously it's worth noting that as of April next year the class 2 won't exist anymore. One other thing I guess people might ask is, when do you actually have to stop paying all of these contributions? Well, for the employed, you will stop paying class 1 national insurance when you reach the state pension age of 66, and if you're self-employed, well, as of April 2024 you won't have to pay class 2 contributions, and when it comes to class 4 you will have to pay this all the way until you reach your retirement age, and you may have to pay it a little while after depending on when your birthday falls in the tax year at that time. But nonetheless, that's essentially national insurance covered as straightforward and as best as I can. As always, if you are still here and this all made sense to you, do let me know in the comments if it's helped, and if you did have any questions, make sure you pop them in there as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.